Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We will get started in a few minutes. For everyone joining us, thank you. We will get started in about 1 minute. Okay, let's get started. Hi, I'm Ellie Nuttall with ASI Show. Thank you all for joining us today, and thank you, AIM, for sponsoring this education track. At any time, you can just type your question in the question box at the bottom of your screen in your Zoom menu, and we'll answer all the questions at the end of the session. And now I'm very happy to introduce Melissa Newman and Vin Driscoll from ASI. Melissa and Vin, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Ellie, so much for that introduction. So I'm Vin Driscoll. I'm the director of ASI Central, and my co-presenter today is Melissa Newman, ASI's social media manager. How you doing, Melissa?
What's up? How are you, Vin? I'm excited to get started today.
I'm doing great. So everyone grab some coffee, grab some tea, grab some soda. Hell, grab an alcoholic beverage. There's no judgment here. So we're going to present our session, Know, Like, and Trust, Building Relationships on Social Media. You ready to get this started, Melissa?
I'm ready. I've been ready since 9 a.m. this morning, Vin. So let's do this.
Let's do it. All right. So before we formally introduce ourselves, we're going to go through the agenda. So social media, we're going to go over some hard data around social media. And then we're going to talk about why social media, why a business should be on social media today, and why build relationships on social media. Then we're going to talk about the big mistake that a lot of businesses do when they jump into social media without a plan. Then we're going to talk to you about how to think about social media differently. And then Melissa's going to provide the sweet secret sauce, Know, Like, and Trust. And throughout this presentation, we are going to sprinkle in case studies that Melissa and I personally pulled from our podcast called the Social Angle Podcast. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. So let's meet us. Melissa, let's meet you and I. All right, so let's start with me. So I'm the director of ASI Central. I've been with ASI since 2007, so 13 years. I can't believe it. I've been at ASI that long, but here I am in 2020, 13 years. I manage some of ASI's digital properties, including the website, asicentral.com, and I manage the social media as well. Back in 2009, I started ASI's corporate social media. I started with YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We evolved to include the other major networks. So I have over a decade of experience with social media. I also co-host the Social Angle Podcast, which I mentioned with Melissa. It's a podcast that really aims to educate promotional pros looking to gain an edge in social media. Now, I've also provided an image, yep, right there in the middle of me, my lame attempt at trying to grow a mustache. This was for Movember a couple years ago, and we did some studio shots of our periodic progress. This was early on. I did want to present the final one because I looked really, really creepy, but mustaches are just not my thing. So over there, Melissa asked me, hey, dig up one of your best tweets ever. So what I did was I found one that wasn't too long ago. And for those of you who know me, big surprise, it's me drinking a beer on Twitter. All I did was, I poured a beer, I had a few sips. It was International Beer Day. I asked other people, what they're drinking. I tagged a bunch of people who I knew were going to engage. I also tagged the brewery. It turned out to be one of my best tweets ever. It got hundreds of views, tons of impressions. So that's just an example of, social media. You never know what you're going to get. You post something like that, and it turns out to be your best tweet. All right, that's it from me, and let's meet Melissa.
Thank you so much for that, Vin, the introduction to your Movember mustache and also your most fire tweet. So my name's Melissa. I am a social media manager here at the Advertising Specialty Institute. I joined ASI in 2020, which is kind of crazy to believe. I have my master's in digital innovation and marketing from the Fox School of Business. Go Owls, and I also co-host the Social Angle podcast with Vin, as he mentioned previously. One of my favorite things to do, nothing makes me happier during the week than talking to other promo professionals about best practices in social media, some of their pain points, what unique strategies they're using, and sharing them to our audience. In addition, I support customer service through social media and help implement organic social media marketing campaigns for ASI. When I am not doing anything like that, I normally can be found in a kitchen. I love to cook. It's one of my favorite ways to relax. I also really love to meditate. If you guys are looking for a cool app, check out Headspace. It's one of my personal favorites. And in addition, anything that's artsy. I'm currently in the process of getting Reiki certified, which is really exciting for me. I got my first degree in October, and I'm going to get my second in November. So my most fire tweet of all time. This is something that's not viral for me, but I think it's really important to humanize yourself on social media. I think it's really important to have stuff that's maybe not necessarily polished for your brand because it makes you connect, I think, better with your audience. So this is one of my personal favorites for myself. It's a snapshot my mom got of me in one of my favorite Nike outfits at 8, imitating Godzilla on my dollhouse, and it's kind of a low-key, favorite pick for me and my family. So let's get into some hard numbers on the next slide. So I was looking for data because I feel like there's still kind of a little bit of heel dragging if social media is a valid market to use for marketing, right? So I was looking for some good numbers, and I found some pretty amazing ones that I want to share with you today. So 3.5 billion social media users worldwide. Can you believe that? Not a million, not 10, not 100, 3.5 billion users worldwide. And they're averaging an average of 3 hours per day across networks, which is incredible. In between spending time with their partner, raising kids, working a full 8-hour day, they're somehow fitting in 3 hours across platforms. In addition, I think a lot of the promo folks on this webinar would be really surprised to know that 54% of them are using social media to browse and research products for a purchase decision. So think about how powerful that is if you're trying to get somebody into your sales funnel. And secondly, 71% of consumers are more likely to refer a family member or friend to a brand that they've had a positive experience on social media with. So isn't that incredible? I think these numbers really frame our presentation nicely and show how important social media marketing is. So I'm going to give it over to Vin, who's going to ask you guys a super important question.
Yes, thank you for those facts, Melissa. Those are really impressive. 3.5 billion social media users worldwide. That's amazing. That's like half the globe. Crazy. All right. So let's ask the question, the big question, why use social media at all for your business? Well, as most of you know, the world has changed because of this pandemic. It's a crazy time and a lot of people are struggling. I mean, it's no surprise. We're all in this together. Most companies are still in work from home mode. ASI is, I may look, presentable up top, but below I'm wearing sweatpants, and I'm sure a lot of you on this call are also wearing sweatpants. Business travel is at a standstill. I haven't traveled for business since Orlando in January. Probably won't be traveling until spring of next year. Most people are in the same boat. So creating and maintaining relationships is more crucial than ever. Now, the silver lining here is that digital has been really a saving grace. So what is social media? Social media is digital. Social media is free. If you're in sales, social media should absolutely be part of your marketing strategy. And if it's not, I'm here to tell you, it's part of your competitor strategy. So if you're gonna nail that home, if you're not doing it, your competitors are. Take it away, Melissa.
Thank you, Vin. So a lot of you guys are here because you want to learn about building relationships on social media. So why? Why is that important for us? Why build relationships on social media? So the simple answer is you can't sell effectively on social without building relationships first. Right? Mind blown, people. So I'm going to pass it back over to Ben, and he's going to talk about some common mistakes that promo firms make when using social media.
Well, it's one mistake, Melissa, one mistake, and it's not just promo firms. I see this all the time. And believe me, it's crazy because I see this more now than I've seen it ever. Many companies, they set up a social media business site, whether it's Twitter, it's Facebook, it's Instagram, and they go in there without a strategy. And what do they do? They just sell. They don't have a presence. They have few followers. They have no strategy. They just sell. And that's the biggest turnoff. What do you get when you just hard sell on social media? You get disappointed because you're going to sit there, you're going to stare at your phone. It's not ringing. Your inbox is not filling up. Sorry, this approach to social media does not work. Right, Melissa?
Right.
All right. So what you need to do is really start to think about social media differently. So what is social media? They're platforms of people all connected and searchable, right? Which makes social media large networks of search engines. And you can find, if a business is out there, if a person is out there, you can find them on social media. Once you have a presence, you are searchable, unless there are security settings that you can set up. But for the most part, it's an open field, and you can find just about everybody out there. And you can also find your buyers. But how do you do that? And this is very important. You have to understand the platform. So no matter which social media platform you decide to jump into, make sure you research and educate yourself on all of its functionalities. Too many businesses just jump in there and they don't do that. They don't research, and they don't understand that, hey, look, some of these platforms have robust search and filter capabilities that will allow you to find people and businesses that are perfect for your network. I'm a big fan of groups, LinkedIn and Facebook. They're powerful places in which you can make and find connections. And Facebook events, now look, events pretty much have dried up in 2020, but they'll be back. But when Facebook events, like right now I look at events, there's really nothing going on because, a lot of places you can't have events. But once things get to normal, the new normal, I don't know when that's going to be, events are going to start happening again. And Facebook events will allow you to browse by category, browse by location, and you 9 times out of 10, you can get right to the decision makers right through Facebook events. All right, off to you, Melissa.
Thanks for that, Vin. I appreciate it. So Vin's very much right. It's really important to know the platforms that are going to work well for you. But what's more important is you have to do the work. So you have to create an individualized strategy that's going to work for you and your team. Are you, a social media manager of one? Are you a part of a mid-sized to larger company where you'll have maybe more support from advertising, sales? Are you on a whole entire social team? Do your research so you can know what messages are going to resonate with your audience, so you can insert yourself in topical conversations and serve them relevant content. What is your content calendar going to look like? Are you going to lean into video? Is it going to be long form posts? Is it going to be more, branding and case studies? Whatever's going to work for you in order to serve your audience so you can entertain them, comfort them, which is very relevant in this day and time, and also, entertain or educate them while you're the best over their competitors. And then most importantly, you're putting in all this hard work, you're making social media posts around the clock, but there's one person. So you gotta make sure that you build your network, right? You gotta make sure that you're connecting with the right people, with your desired audience, so they can learn more about you. But how do we do that, right? So me and Salt Bae want you to know that know, like, and trust is the secret sauce, right? Let's all do that. I can't see you, but I feel it in my heart that we're all doing the same sprinkle right now. But essentially, it's the key to success for social media. It's how you're going to have the best ROI. It's how you're going to simplify your systems. It's how you're going to take away the overwhelm. And it's going to give you kind of a guiding light to crafting your own brand strategy. So if we go to the next slide. This is know, like, and trust defined. So take a screenshot of this, save it for later on your computer so you can use it in your own strategy. There's definitely a lot in each category, but to kind of simplify, know can be creating credibility and expertise in your niche. Like, who are you serving? Cultivating authority. Why should somebody come to you instead of somebody else? Like being consistent, engaging, trying to create that human connection. You're not going in for the hard sell. You're trying to find out more about your customer or your prospects' pain points. What can you offer that nobody else can? How can you solve them a problem? How can you get the right message in front of them at the right time? So when they're ready to make that sale, they're ready to make that purchase decision, you've cultivated know and like, and you finally have that trust to make that sale happen, or maybe you're providing case studies, correct? Showing how you've gotten a customer from point A to point B. Those are some examples of know, like, and trust in action on social. So if we go to the next slide, a simpler way, making it even simpler for you, you can also screenshot this, is really know is the journey that you take your customer on to know you and your brand. If they don't know you, they can't like you, right? And then hopefully once they know you and they know what you have to offer them, how you can help them meet their goal or aspiration, how you can solve a problem for them because you've been feeding them so much cool, relevant content on social, you develop that trust, and partially that sale organically is kind of already in the works for you, which is really awesome. And then if you go to the next slide.
All right, I'm taking it over from here. We're going to take a look at our first mini case study. So we're going to focus on Facebook groups, and our subject is Seth Needham from supplier Key Apparel. Now, it's important to note that, no matter what member type we're focusing on, these lessons, these case studies can be applied to any member type, to any industry. I mean, this is real basic stuff. So this case study on Facebook groups is really an awesome one. So this quote from Seth came directly from our podcast interview with Seth. He said, "One of my largest sales to date came through the ASI Facebook group." Now, that is a really poignant quote about the power of social media. I mean, Seth is, this isn't his first rodeo. Seth has been in business for a long time. He's been doing this for a long time. And for him to say that one of his biggest sales came through our Facebook group, boom, I mean, right there. Stop the presentation. I mean, Facebook groups, social media, it works. So let's take a look at the know, like, and trust factor when it came to Seth's sale in this group. So the know. So Seth, who is a supplier of apparel, knew the group was filled with mostly distributors. Now that's half your battle, right? The know part, to know where your target audience is. Once you're able to know that, like I said, boom, that's where you need to be. So this was the perfect group for Seth to get to know and connect with potential customers. He did his research. He even reached out to me at one point, asking me for demographics, and it was, it's about 3/4 of distributors, relative to suppliers. So, so Seth knew that's where he had to be. So how does he, get the likes going? How do people get to like him? So instead of posting salesy content, Seth knew that doesn't work. He would post regularly and consistently content that was educational and entertaining. He was big on videos. And he didn't do videos particularly well. They were actually comical, but he had a fun time doing it. He would do Facebook Lives. So after a while, people started to get to know Seth because he was posting often. He was engaging in conversations. In time, people really knew who he was. So the trust factor. So Seth saw an opportunity in a conversation to help a distributor with his product. So we took the conversation offline. The distributor already knew who Seth was because of his consistent posting. He had won, Melissa, I think a couple times he had won the most engaged person in our group for a couple of months. So Seth was out there. The distributor knew who he was. Seth, took it offline. They had a conversation, and it led to one of the biggest sales in his career. This is a perfect case study for the power of Facebook groups. On to you, Melissa.
All right, thank you so much for that awesome case study, Ben. So how can we use social media more effectively, right? So I feel like majority of us in this call have some familiarity with the sales funnel, right? So for the sake of this example, think awareness, engagement, and conversion. And hopefully, if you're doing it right, a flywheel where you're kind of bringing them back in, as Hubbard would say, to be a repeating customer. So I wanted to contrast know, like, and trust with maybe some more traditional sales methods that people might be more familiar with. So let's think about the know piece, the awareness piece in the funnel. Cold calls, right? You know, people still do cold calls to potential prospects that they're trying to establish a relationship, right? That's kind of the know piece. What that might look like on social media is signing up for a platform or an account, preferably a business account, because they have access to much more relevant analytics for you. And, you know, anytime you set up a personal account, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that for a brand or even a personal brand for that matter. But I digress. So making sure you're on the right platform at the right time so you can serve the right messaging. You know, are you trying to target boomers who would be probably better hit through a Facebook page? Or is your demographic women 25 to 35 and you have an e-commerce brand, so probably Instagram? Think about where your audience lies so you can meet them where they're at and you can start to pique their interest. So you've gotten them into your funnel with the awareness piece, right? We're at the tab with awareness and know. Now we're going down a little deeper into engagement, right? So, or like I should say. So qualifying leads. We're still qualifying leads. We're maybe repelling some people in our audience that aren't necessarily relevant to us. You know, not everybody's for us, and that's totally okay. You want to make sure you're connecting with the right people who are going to go for your offer, your product, or service. So what that might look like on social media is engaging with your audience. So, you know, providing relevant content, commenting on their posts, resharing what they have, you know, learning about their pain points. What are some of their frustrations? There's so much information on social platforms that you can use to your benefit to kind of research, you know, who you want to target. So use that to your advantage. And really at this point, you know, to cultivate like, it's about human connection. We're just going to try to give before we make an ask, right? Or an offer. Sales demos, we're getting a little closer, right? We're hopefully about to get that coveted conversion, that sale, right? And have that customer for life, hopefully, right? So sales demos, we're probably not doing them in person this year too much unless they're socially distanced, but what we're probably doing is them a lot virtually. I'm sure a lot of people are doing them in Zoom chat, right? So that being said, we're still doing sales demos, but what that might look like on social media in that trust factor is we're giving case studies. We're offering educational, educational and entertaining content. We're offering maybe comfort. I remember speaking to a promo professional that said when the pandemic first hit, she was doing a combined effort with her sales team to just reach out to clients through social to check in with how they were doing to make sure they were okay. And that's how you cement a customer for life. So that is how you take a follower to a customer on social. So if we go to the next slide. Me, my girl Julie Andrews, and Vin want you to put on your best rock. We want you to climb to the highest mountain safely. And then we want you to put your arms out, not too close to the edge. And we want you to embrace social media and scream your love for it from the top of the mountain. But in all seriousness, we know that it gets overwhelming, right? We know that it can feel weird to know where to start. You know, what platform's best, what messaging's best, you know, and we've all made mistakes. So we want you to take it seriously, but we also want you to not beat yourself up when you make a mistake. And we also know that sometimes to simplify things, right, what can help you is to know what to avoid from the get. So let's go and talk about that then.
It's a big one.
It breaks my heart. No hard sells. Don't do it. Like, don't just went. Like, that's the sound it makes when you press the send button on a post that's a hard sell. Like, wah, wah, wah. But if you're not quite sure what a hard sell is, think aggressive tactics. You know, it's buy, 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 you gotta buy now, or inflated promises that your audience honestly knows is straight BS. So, you know, it's the quickest way to turn off your audience, have somebody unfollow you. It's harsh, it's ineffective. And also, you know, fun fact, every time you hard sell on social media, a social media professional has to take a drink, and 2020 has been hard enough. So take it easy on us, guys, okay?
Is that you speaking from experience, Melissa?
Perhaps. I was going to put in my own picture here, but I thought it would be better to use somebody else.
No judgment. No judgment. We're all going down that road. All right.
So this slide, we wanted to put this up because we wanted to just offer you a resource. Me and Vin are really into resources and education, if you guys can't tell. But we really want people to become comfortable on social media. We want people to not feel as overwhelmed or kind of not know where to start. So about almost weekly, we interview different promo professionals, and we'll kind of highlight some key case studies at the end here for how they're approaching social media marketing individually, you know, with their own unique strategies. They don't necessarily know everything. They've even admitted to making mistakes, but they're making social work for them. So if you're ever looking for a good resource, the Social Angle podcast, you can definitely subscribe. And if there's anybody you think we should interview or any concepts you would ever be interested in us covering, you know, hit us up on Twitter, slide into our DMs, or email us and let us know. So I'll pass it back over to my co-host, Finn.
You're such a millennial. Slide into my DMs. I mean, I don't know.
I gotta represent my generation.
I hear you. Well, anyway, slide into my DMs. I've never said that in my life until right now. I just did. All right. So let's go on to our next case study. We're going to talk about brand voice. And for those who need a definition, brand voice is basically the distinct personality a brand takes in its communications. It could be communications on website, it could be in their marketing, and of course, it could definitely be on their social media. So Melissa and I interviewed Jody Schillinger and Molly Nisus from Maple Ridge Farms a couple months ago. And the podcast was titled, you know, How Do You Succeed with Brand Voice? So here's a quote taken directly from that podcast. So Jody says, we try to keep our core values in mind. So we approach each platform with its own strategy, its own voice, and content ideas. So let's take a look at the know, like, and trust factor and apply it to what Maple Ridge Farms does on their social media. So, you know, how do you get people to like you, right? You know, I think that's really, you know, the big thing. You know, you want people to know and like you. So personality, culture, and core values, you know, if you make them an extension of your social media, you know, it's really going to resonate with users. You know, this is something that Maple Ridge Farms does really well. They humanize their brand. They use their employees, you know, and it's very easy for customers and prospects to get to know that brand because they're very, you know, they're very human, you know, a lot of behind the scenes stuff. And in 2020, 2019, 2018, I don't know when it started, but culture started to become really important for social media. People love to see the behind the scenes of brands on social media. So the like part. Now, look, Maple Ridge Farms has a great product. It's made for social media. It's food. They are a supplier of food gifts. Melissa and I have both tried them. They're awesome. They're yummy. I mean, it's great stuff. So that kind of sells itself on social media. I mean, if you go to Instagram, I guarantee you every other post that you see in your feed will be somebody posting food. That's how popular food is on social media. But in order to really kind of nail that home, Maple Ridge Farms put an emphasis on consistency, on fun, engagement. They are very good at their social media game. They post a lot of videos. They post a lot of behind the scenes of their employees. They're fun. I mean, fun seems to be the theme for them. I mean, you know, they're just, you know, always having fun. I mean, they have food gifts, so how can you not have fun? But they really built a strong and dedicated following. Now, the trust factor, you know, once you've, you know, established customers and people love you, which, you know, people seem to love Maple Ridge Farms, you turn your customers into brand advocates, people that are going to refer you And that is really a sweet spot in any sales industry. If you can get your customers to refer you, boom. I mean, that is a huge thing. And Maple Ridge Farms is doing that on social media. All right, let's move on to LinkedIn.
One of my favorites. All right, so I love that picture of Jody. If you guys don't follow Maple Ridge Farms on any social media platforms, I definitely recommend that you do. They're a master class and some really good social media tactics.
Real quick, Melissa, we got a shout out on Twitter from John Corkin saying we have great chemistry together.
Oh, thank you, John. Oh my God.
Who knew?
The best. Yeah, I know.
Thank you, John.
You the best. All right, so let's get into LinkedIn. I feel like, honestly, it's the unsung hero of social media. A lot of people are all about like Facebook and Instagram, but honestly, if you're working in B2B, it is a gold mine and you definitely should be on it. It's way much more than just like, you know, your digital resume chilling out there for the next time that you want to go apply for a job. It's a great way to cultivate know, like, and trust, and it's a great way to meet potential prospects in your industry. So if you guys don't know Jay Bissell, you guys should, because he's a low-key legend on social media. He is a complete masterclass himself on LinkedIn, and we had the pleasure of interviewing him a couple of months ago for the Social Angle podcast. He was actually one of the first promo professionals I ever interviewed. So one of my favorite quotes from him in this episode is, "Have a plan, be active, be engaging, and focus on giving value first." Mic drop, right? Like, we could be like, peace out, people. Like, we're done with this presentation. But wait, there's more. So if we go to the next slide, let's look at know, like, and trust for Jay. So this is kind of my own personal experience with him. So we had booked him for the pod, and I'm like, you know what? I don't really have him as a connection on LinkedIn, you know, so I'm going to reach out to him. So I sent him a request. And normally 99% of the time, I never get a no from somebody after they accept me. I either, you know, don't get accepted, or my number goes up and I get that little note on my phone, or a notification, I should say, you know, that I've been accepted. So here I was totally taken away doing work on my computer where I got that notification, and 5 seconds later, a personalized, creative, thoughtful note from Jay. You know, he had clearly taken the time to read my profile. You know, he started a conversation with me with a commonality we both had. He wasn't trying to sell anything. He just wanted to get to know me. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. So I took a little break and I spoke to him for 10 minutes, you know, and what really cemented the like for me is after we had talked kind of about anything and everything, he gave me a piece of content that he thought I would enjoy, which was actually a TED Talk from the CEO of Canva. So he was like, you know, marketing professional to marketing professional. I love this talk. I think you would too. Check it out. And that really cemented trust with me. Out of everybody that has ever requested me on LinkedIn, and I've had my profile for a while, he stands out because of the 10 minutes of effort that he put in to get to know me on LinkedIn. Think about how powerful that could be if you could apply that to your own business, to your own brand. So let's go over to my other favorite. As you can tell, I like social media.
Before we do, I will mention that Jay Bissell can grow quite a mustache.
Yeah.
He is the
Are
mustache
you
king. I am jealous. Jealous of that mustache.
I am too. No. On to the next. I shaved mine before we came on here. But anyway, so fun fact about me now. So mini case study on Instagram. I love Kiani Perrin Savoy. She is the co-founder with her cousins of More and More Merch. She is such a delight to talk to. If you guys ever have a chance to link up with her, I highly recommend you guys do so. I think you would get inspired. She's somebody who keeps promo fresh, and she's only been in the industry for, I think, about 4 years now. But we were talking about my favorite thing of all time, which is creating the perfect Instagram feed, like angels singing. So she shared a gem with me and Vin, which was, how do I make sales on Instagram by creating relationships first? Another juicy gem, but of course, right? Like, mind blown. But if we go into know, like, and trust with Kiani, this is know, like, and trust for her, okay? So if you go to her website, if you go to the Merch Studio, which is her handle on Instagram, everybody stop what you're doing, pick up your Android, your iPhone, go find and follow, because it's literally such a neat feed. And she started out being very, she said it herself, just kind of experimenting. But once her and her co-founders found what their visual identity was going to be for their brand, she honed in. And it's very cohesive. And not just like her Instagram feed, you check out her website, any of the marketing collateral she's shown in case studies from like previous events she's done before this year. I know it's her content before I even read it. And I think that just goes to show how powerful branding can be when you find what works for you for the no factor with your audience. So like for her, again, you know, a lot of trial and error, but she said what she refined to what worked for her, which was asking open-ended questions, you know, creating engaging content like case studies, you know, hopping on topical trends that she felt like kind of fit with her brand. So not everything, but things that she felt like served her audience. You know, the next thing for trust for her, I think sometimes people have trouble distinguishing organic social from paid. And they're kind of like, you know, paid, you can kind of see numbers, you can kind of have that hard ROI. Some of the stuff that's on organic is a little less tangible, but she found a simple way of making it tangible for herself. So she spent a couple of dollars on a link management tool, some of them are free, and created a lead capture. So now that she's cultivated know, like, and like with her audience, people who are ready to engage with her, because she's done some of this lead work, can reach out to her through her link management tool, and she can tie back a future sale to Instagram, to somebody who's, you know, found her through there. So I think that's really powerful and a really simple tip that a lot of people on this call could adapt for success. So we're going to get into the most important case study of all time. So I can't wait for this one.
Oh, come on, stop.
Let it rip.
Stop. All right.
He's been waiting. I've been getting texts all day about Twitter. Like, I can't wait.
All right. Our next mini case study is Twitter. Now, Melissa is really making me appear like I have a big head, but maybe I do. But anyway, I focus on myself because I've been doing this for 11 years. So, you know, I had a lot of lessons, and here is my favorite quote. This is one I go back to all the time. There is no magic bullet for establishing a following on Twitter. You have to work at it. Like anything else, you have to work hard. I have a quick story for you. When I first started our Twitter presence back in 2009, my boss said, hey, I want followers. I want a lot of followers. I said, okay, I'll do what I can. After a couple weeks, you know, I had like 25, you know, it wasn't building up the way I thought it should. So at the time, there were these, you know, links you could go to and say, hey, get 500 followers for 25 bucks. So I told my boss, hey, can I get 25 bucks? You know, we can get 500 followers. He said, sure, let's do it. So I did it. I woke up the next day, I had 500 followers. And I was like, wow, this is easy. This works. You know, I don't have to work hard at this. Next week, it was down to 450. And then a month later, I was down to 200. So what happened was, these people started to realize that what I was posting didn't resonate with them. So they followed me and then they unfollowed me. So, you know, even though at the time it seemed like a good idea, you know, this magic bullet, I ended up taking that magic bullet and shooting myself in the foot because honestly, there is no magic bullet. It doesn't work like that. You got to work hard at it. So let's go to the know, like, and trust about Twitter. So how did I establish a following? So first, you know, once I got past that whole embarrassing 500 followers back to 25, I realized I had to, you know, I had to follow and engage people within my network. So within the promo products industry. So what I did was, you know, I looked for the top 40 companies. I looked to see if they had a following. You know, I went after industry people, you know, influencers to see if they had a following. I would follow them. I would engage them. So, you know, anything they would post, I would ask questions, or I would retweet, or I would like. You know, those are the types of things that are essential to social media engagement. You know, so once, you know, I started to engage with these people, you know, I started providing useful resources and info that provide worth to the industry. You know, I was adding value. I also, you know, I combined my personality. You know, as you can see, I use my headshot and my name with the corporate account. So I kind of mesh my personality with the brand, you know, to kind of show the human side of it. And I don't post, you know, just work stuff. I post stuff that I like, you know, beer, you know, horror movies. I'm a big horror fan. You know, I post these things. I also post stuff on my family. Now, you know, I don't encourage that because posting family stuff can get kind of dicey, but I do it anyway, you know, now and then. And these are things that, you know, I did to kind of allow people in the industry to get to know me. So the like factor. So eventually people are like, hey, this guy's legit. You know, he's new to the industry, but he's learning it. You know, he's fun, he's engaging, and they start to follow you back. And I'm starting to establish a following. Now, over the years, I know it's been not 11 years now. I've got 12,000 followers. I've tweeted 35,000 times for ASI. Um, you know, I have now been considered within this industry to be an influencer, because people know me, they like me, they understand that I have the best interest of the industry in mind, and I've become somebody that people want to, it's a destination page. My Twitter account is a destination page. People come to see what I'm tweeting. So that is the know, like, and trust factor for Twitter that took me 11 years to learn. So like I said, there's no magic bullet. It takes time. So let's move on.
All right, Vin, thank you so much for that. A riveting case study on Vin by Vin. So one of my one of my favorites right now is TikTok, and I was dragging my feet for the longest time because I'm like, this is such a corny app, and now I'm addicted. Like, this literally will replace Netflix shows for me some nights because I'll just get lost in a black hole of really fun, cool, creative videos. But this was definitely one that I didn't really see when it started to gain popularity with other brands and promo. I was like, all right, a couple of people are adapting it. I'm not really seeing it being adapted like Instagram, Facebook, of course, or even Twitter or LinkedIn for that matter. So here comes Javi Melendez, who's an account executive at All Star Incentive Marketing. And I thought it was so cool when I listened to his episode with Vin. This is before I came to ASI earlier this year. And I was like, wow, this guy is just doing this for fun. He's setting himself apart by infusing his content with a little bit of humor. And who can use that, especially in 2020? So one of my favorite quotes from him is, if you're nervous about F-bombs, you should probably stay off TikTok and social media in general. It always makes me giggle. And I feel like it is a true essence of who he is, which is not afraid to be himself, authentic and engaging in the online communities he's a part of. So let's get into know, like, and trust for him.
Fun fact though, during our podcast, he dropped an F-bomb. So he's the only one that ever did that.
Don't worry, I'll rectify that when we record tomorrow. So know, like, and trust. Essentially with him, what made me kind of know him, or kind of like, you know, you see that person that's starting to put out content and they're in kind of your like peripheral online. There's so many people that are jockeying for credibility, authority, you know, oh, another pristine post, oh, another pun in their caption, oh, another great product, you know, photo. That stuff's great. I'm never going to sneeze at that. But I love when somebody is willing to take a calculated risk to stand out. And he's definitely done that, and it's paid off. So, you know, he infuses his content with humor. And I think he's, if I'm not mistaken, on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, you know, he's definitely in other communities, but how he set himself apart from other promo professionals is with using TikTok. And the like factor that he's cultivated is he's consistent, which is really key on social. You know, whatever you lean in, start low and slow, maybe just one platform, but try to be as consistent as you can because you get the best payoff that way. So for him is he'll poke fun at, you know, common occurrences in the promo industry. He'll capitalize on trending topics, hashtags, or sound bites, you know, and he'll insert himself into relevant conversations. And between everything else that's going in my news feed, it's like, you know, 60 seconds of levity that I'm just like, oh my God, this is so funny. And then I go about my day. So he's really kind of creating his own path on social with much success through TikTok. So the trust factor, going back to the kind of confusion between like organic KPIs, paid KPIs, you know, how do I, you know, measure things like brand equity? Like, what does that look like? For him, he gave then a very cool quote, which was, he's like, you know, I'm not really doing this for sales. I'm doing this for the love factor. You know, he's trying to humanize himself, who he is as a professional, and to great results. And think how, you know, powerful that can be when you couple that with like pristine brand photos, on point messaging and captions, when you have that balance on social, because it keeps things fresh for your audience and it keeps them coming back.
Yeah,
So,
you know, it's funny because he stays top of mind because of his TikToks, you know, and I think that's what he's doing. I mean, he's doing a great job with that because, like you said, you know, the F-bombs, TikTok is just, you know, you could do whatever you want on TikTok, but you know, if you're funny and you're human, you know, people are going to remember that.
Right. Agreed. 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 So show them the way, Vin.
Summary. Okay, I know we only have a few more minutes. We want to take some of your questions, but the summary, you know, if you're going to make the, you know, the jump to social media, you know, commit to it, go all in, research, you know, understand what you're getting into, no hard selling, stay consistent. Consistency is key. You know, like you can figure out when the right times are for you to go in there and post content, you know, find where your audiences are, but stay consistent with your approach. And also be authentic. You know, culture rules now. Transparency, you know, engage with your audience. Those things are huge in social media right now.
Word. So another important thing is human connection. You know, make sure that you're adding value to your audience with relevant content. You know, you're educating them, you're entertaining them, you're providing them comfort, you're reaching out. You know I kind of probably sound like a broken record, but these things matter, and people remember and appreciate that about you when they interact with your content on social. Refine your strategy. You know, I make mistakes every day. I try to learn from them and get better. And my thing is, if something doesn't work for you, if you've done it for a certain amount of time, like maybe you're doing video marketing and you spent 6 months, you know, time investing in that, but you really don't see that ROI, you know, couch it and try something else, and then maybe revisit it another time when the opportunity presents itself. And then most importantly, experiment with new features, software, platforms. Take calculated risks. It's okay to not have all the answers. It's okay to make mistakes. You know, it's okay to continually refine as we get better. So we just want to say thank you so much for rocking with us for the last almost 50 minutes. Thank you so much to our awesome sponsor, AIM, for sponsoring the social media marketing track today. You the best, and my DJ Khaled boys, we appreciate you. And then finally, please send us your questions. Ask us your questions now. If you're not comfortable asking in a public forum, we support that. Email us, tweet us. How can we help you?
Right, so this information right here, you can screenshot or you can, you know, write down right now. And welcome back, Ellie.
Hello, Vin and Melissa. Thank you so much. That presentation was wonderful.
Thank you.
To everyone in the audience, now is the time to use your Q&A function to ask any questions that you may have. I already have a couple coming in, so we can get started. Bill has a comment and a question. First, he would like to say that Vin, the mustache in the Twitter slide is not bad.
Thank you, Bill.
That's amazing.
He also asked, what organization provides your hard data?
Ooh, that's a good question. So there's actually resources at the end of this presentation. I can't recall like immediately off the top of my head, but I can send those to you if you want. They'll just like drop your email and I can provide them to you. But we got them from about like 3 different resources.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, and thank you.
And then Jay did ask for your Twitter handle. So this slide covers that. Michelle Bell says, you guys look awesome.
Oh, thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle.
Virtual hugs. You're the best.
And then, oh, we've got a comment saying that, Vin, you look like Hugh Grant.
No, it's funny. I've gotten that before. I haven't gotten that in a long time. When I was younger, I used to get that. Thank you, whoever said that.
Made Vin's day.
He's a good-looking guy, you know, he's an older guy, so.
Okay, audience members, this is last call for any questions. We'll give you another minute, and then it is time to wrap up Virtual Education Day. Going once, going twice. Oh, I have one. Does Facebook allow you to follow and comment as a page?
Yes.
It does, yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
You can't, I believe you can't do that in certain groups. Protected groups, I believe that you're not allowed to follow groups as a page. Although I think Facebook was looking to change that, Melissa. I think open groups you can go into as a page. I think private groups you cannot. But as a page, you can follow other pages for sure.
Okay, great. Well, it is time to wrap up Virtual Education Day. Melissa and Vin, thank you so much. And thanks again to our sponsor, AIM. And for everyone in the audience, I hope you've enjoyed today's classes. All the sessions have been recorded and will be posted on asishow.com soon. So you can keep an eye out and look out for those recordings so you can watch the ones that you've missed. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. You're the
Bye.
best. Thanks, Ellie.
Thank you.
Take care.